Ladies and gentlemen, it's the MGN Nation podcast. Welcome to it. Bet you wish you could do that, huh? Camera 3, 2, 1. Folks, it's a big time. Big times are happening right here. What does this one do? Oh, that's a good. That one. What is it? This one? It plays music. That one does that. Man, I got two of them.
The happy?
Yeah.
The happy song?
Yeah, that one's this one.
Well, it is times to be happy, right? It's a pod during the postseason. Everybody stand up, clap as you drive down the highway.
Hold on, just wow, yeah. So yeah, like I mean, we have to acknowledge here that it's a good time. Like I've seen North Texas go to two conference championship games. This is the third, right? Both were in CUSA, right? I hadn't seen them win a league title, and that was in the Sun Belt days, where there was no Sun Belt championship game. In Conference USA, there was a championship game, and North Texas won it 2. Won in 2017, lost to Lane Kiffin's FAU machine, which reminds me a lot of North Texas. Right, that team just would score, and you're just like, how do you stop it? They just, they had an NFL running back, an NFL tight end. Anyway, you look at the 2 years later, or it was a few years later, 4 years later, right? South Trail went to another one, 2021, with Austin Ani. He basically was like, let me take that Lane Kiffin offense. It finally started, working for him, I guess you could say. And then got beat by UTSA in the second time. Both times they played in the championship game. It was the second time they played there, and both situations were again on the road. This time is on the road, but it's the first time we have played Tulane, as John Summerall says, this season. Does that move you emotionally? Physically?
No, I mean it's all these good, facts. Right? It's all exciting. Yeah. Well, obviously the losing part, that part does suck. Like that gives me negative emotions, especially in the fashion that we did. Getting run out of the Alamo Dome was not fun. It does surprise me. Like I'm trying to rack my brain back to 2004 when I first went to North Texas. That was my freshman year, and we were the Sun Belt champions.
Yeah, it was so long ago. It was a different shade of green,
Yeah, it was. It was a darker shade of green. And I completely forgot that there was no conference championship game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a little bit like like soccer now. Like you win, like English Premier League, right? You win the league, you have the best record, and that was it. It's like, well, here's a champ. You win. There it goes. You're awarded it. No game, no playoffs.
Yeah, and that was a fun stretch from 2001 to 2004. It was 5-1 conference record, 6-0, 7-0, 7-0. That was a good streak before things kind of fell off, and Daryl Hickey was gone. But yeah, it's been a long time. It's been since we can claim a conference championship. It's been since 2004. So that is 22 football seasons. Dang. That's a long drought. So
you got to imagine like Caleb Hawkins, like Paul. I mean, can you tell me about conference championships? And Patrick Cobbs is like, well, son, let me tell you, back in the day. Yeah, this is what it's like. So that's the good part. Like, I said all that stuff to kind of give you the background there. Not to make you sad, but because
I'm a fun guy.
I am a fun guy. Just to be like, those going into those games, it was like, okay, let's see if we can pull upset. We got blown out by FAU. Foul is what I call them. We got blown out by the foul, and then like we're like, okay, it's like we're just gonna at least do better in this one. Like it needs to be, it's gonna be an upset. It would be a big upset. I think we're like 10, 15 point underdogs or something ridiculous in that game. And then the UTSA game was something similar. It took a lot of good luck. Ani led the team down. They got a touchdown, a go-ahead touchdown. It was a little curse because we scored the touchdown. I think it was Ragsdale, and he hurt himself celebrating the touchdown. So he was out, and he was out for a while. And then UTSA gets at like 4th and 1. We had to stop, and then the refs were like, "Nah, whatever, we're getting paid." And then UTSA goes down and score a touchdown. And before that week, we had said if this game comes down, and we were sort of speaking like hopefully, if this game comes down to UTSA having to throw a jump ball to our freshman corner. Over our freshman corner, who's 5'5" or whatever. I mean, like that's what it takes to win. Then good, right? Well, that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, okay, hey, not bad. And so getting a rematch against them, we thought, okay, we want to run the ball better. I think Seth Luttrell had spent time like showing Hank Dickens said, look, we could have broke this run, broke that run. Just kind of doing his little head shake. All of that to say, like, we could do it if we got another chance, and like, but you still needed the breaks to go your way. It was a blowout, right? North Texas moved the ball well, they ran the ball out better, but they couldn't get the stops. Going into this game, I think we have the advantage of having not played them before, right? That's a huge thing. We're on the road, but North Texas is such a good offense, right? That there's wiggle room there, like.
You could argue that it's the best offense.
Yeah, so like if you look at that 2021 offense, right? Like that was a very good rush offense, but you're like, but if Ani has a bad day, he's not gonna be able to throw us back in the game. And we had a receiver that would drop passes, right? We'd go on to drop passes at Memphis even, and then it just kind of the way it was is like things needed to line up perfectly, right? You just had all these dominoes, and like, please, nobody shake the table. Right, just because it can't. It's all we got. You can't mess up. This time, like again, we've said this in the show. Hey, 2nd and 20, little dump off to the running back, to the freshman running back. Oh, he's gonna break all tackles, 68-yard touchdown. So okay,
he's gonna break 50 tackles on his way for a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and then against Western Michigan, right? This is before Caleb Hawkins was getting runs. We want to give everybody a chance to get some stats up. He's like, y'all go ahead and get some stats. I'll be there in a second, and I'm going to get 1,200 yards, whatever. We were giving it to Kiefer Sibley, 20-yard gashing runs on, like, 3rd down and 10 against Western Michigan. That was in Kalamazoo. I was there to see it with my own eyes, wind-aided eyes. Or
seen it.
Yeah, technology. They got contacts in. They were in, and on and on and so forth. Right? They're like options. Even our coach hasn't had to do the coaching. Like, those Stillwater folks, they're going to have to see Eric Morris make 4th down decisions, right? We haven't had to see that in, basically a year, and it's been nice. We're like, man, let me dial up, throw it short to Wyatt Young. Just a little short pass, little, 618 post wheel. Cool. Oh, hey, look at that touchdown pass. That's amazing. I'm the best offensive coordinator there ever been was. Let me go get me a $3.8 million contract in Stillwater. We'll talk about that in a little bit, guys. But I'm bullish. I'm gonna throw some stats at you, Aldo, because I'm sure you haven't read the post that I did, but I looked this up. What are they called? The Tulanes. The Tulanes are good at stopping the run. Well, I would say they're good at getting contact. In the run game, right? Like with basically like 2 yards, within 2 yards. They get even a lot of TFLs or contact in the backfield. However, they're terrible at tackling said dude. And I was watching some film. I was like, what does this even mean? And I was watching the game against UTSA. I was watching the game against ECU and then Army, and then also what are they called? The Memphises, the paper taggers, paper mache. Papier. And I saw it. It was like, oh, look at that dude. He got him lined up. He got on his, he just basically gives his leg a hug, and then he falls down and takes a nap. And then that dude just keeps running. There was one I posted in there, linked to the video. He had the UTSA dude 2 yards in the backfield. He gets, beat, and that guy runs for 12 yards. I don't know if you know this, Aldo. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Maybe you haven't been paying attention.
Paying attention to what?
That Caleb Hawkins is good at breaking tackles. Have you seen that? I don't know if you've seen that. Has that been?
I have seen that. Yes,
that's good. So,
and that's exactly what I was thinking when you're talking about poor tackling. That's something that Caleb Hawkins is going to feast on.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like if I'm like, all right, what are our strengths, guys? Like, well, we're good at, like, getting a guy in there and kind of, getting behind the line of scrimmage. All right, what are we weak at? Well, we're not great at wrapping that guy up and tackling. It's like, okay, what are they good at? They're good at breaking tackles, boss. It's like, well, that's not. Wait a second. And so you're like, okay, so the natural inclination. I'm like, well, I was looking at some stats. I got some stats here, and the stat says that the Tulanes are pretty good defensively, right? So how does that square with what you're saying here? I looked at it, and they haven't played the top 5 of the top 7 offenses in this league, right? It's like North Texas, USF, Navy, and I think you can't play it yourself, right? But so Tulane's in there. And then of the 7, they played ECU and UTSA, top 7. And, they allowed those teams to do well. Like ECU, they held them to a lot of negative yardage. They really tore up ECU. And so that's, I think, the one part where you're like, okay, hey, ECU's a pretty good team, when they want to be. Except for that game and then, the Tulane game and then UTSA game, ECU's been pretty good. Well, okay, that one is hey, this is the best case scenario. Their worst case scenario is basically everybody else, or UTSA, which like play action them to death. FAU is not a good offense, and I watched that game. They had dudes wide open, and a lot of it, the reason that why FAU didn't do well is for 2 things. I'm going to ask you, Aldo, if we're good at these things, okay? One, their quarterback, Caden Veltkamp, was missing wide open guys, right? Deep balls. He's like, whoa, I'm throwing an interception. This guy wide open, let me throw it behind him, and maybe throw an interception. Is the quarterback for North Texas, Drew Mestermaker, is he any good throwing the ball to open guys? Have you ever seen that?
I would say he's not good. He's great.
Okay, well, that doesn't portend well for the Tulanes. Okay. Here's another thing. Well, just once. Indulge me here, please, if you would. Here's another thing that I saw let me just pause. Aldo, go ahead. I don't want to.
Oh no, I just wanted to emphasize what you're talking about in terms of Tulane and their pass defense. I don't know if it's scheme. I didn't watch enough games to really understand if it was scheme or just game planning against by the other team. But like Memphis was just picking them apart on the edges, over the middle. It's just soft zone kind of stuff, and at times just outright running or outrunning the corner. It was and it's something that North Texas will also feast on as an offense, right? You're talking about Wyatt Young, you're talking about Miles Coleman, right? The reasons that we've seen some misses, particularly Miles Coleman, I'm picking on him for a second, is that he's not stopping in the right place, and sometimes that has led to interceptions or near interceptions because he's trying to identify the soft parts of that defense, and so because Tulane's defense is a little bit poor in that regard, and they're slower to react in that regard than other teams. That's where we have an advantage, as long as it's not raining heavily.
Yeah, so I call it the FAU game, right? Because like UTSA picked them apart with a lot of play action, a lot of stuff under center, and we don't really do that, right? We don't run that kind of offense, a lot of motions and stuff. But it's just something to note, right? Like, okay, we run the ball well, but UTSA like does it out of different formations. They use a lot more tight ends. Okay, fine. Well, FAU runs like the same offense, right? It's air raid based. There's a lot of same sets, a lot of same plays, a lot of same reads. So the thinking is that you see similarities. How they defended it? One, they sat back and they played a lot of zone. ECU also plays something similar. But here's the second thing I saw in the FAU game, right? Like I said, the FAU moved the ball pretty well except for 2 things. One was the quarterback play, and number 2 was their red zone efficiency. And again, Aldo, is UNT any good at the red zone area?
Let me check my notes. Survey says yes.
So that got me pretty excited. And now, like, again, you think about how North Texas played last year, right? We played Tulane last year and played them the year before. Both seasons, and now it's a little different. One was like Willie Fritz, one was John Sumrall, and they had their own kind of situations. The game that FAU played this year against Tulane at Tulane looked very similar to the game North Texas played at home last year against Tulane, where turnovers, right? There was that famous Mackenzie McGill kick return fumble, right? Like North Texas drives down, kicks a field goal, and then the next time touch the ball, it's down 21 points, right? It was like, hey, they're up 7. We kick a field goal. They go down and score. It's 14-3. All right, our turn to go get down. Oh, we fumble. They go down and score. It's 21-3. Next time Chandler Morris touches the ball. So that was that game. I don't know if you remember that game. Maybe you blocked it out. You know, maybe your brain was like.
Well, I was trying to remember. Is he talking about Tulane or is he talking about South Florida?
That's a lot of games, man. Yeah, like it seems like it happened always. But so that's kind of the same thing where like you have these moments and like North Texas was in that game. We had to try to hopefully get some stops and then go outscore them, and then we got behind the ball. North Texas moved the ball well, but if you watch that game again, I watched highlights of it just to remind myself of what happened. North Texas moved the ball well, but we had the same problem. We couldn't score in the red zone, and we had some turnovers, right? That it was like, wow, this is this FAU versus Tulane game that I'm watching again, where this offense can move the ball, you know, and turns the ball over and whatnot. So I feel good about that, right? Like, because you're like, hey, this is a good defense, right? It's better, you know, they're going to find some things, and I think they will, you know. I know Sumrall's been going back and forth to Gainesville and whatever, but I think the defensive coordinator and the staff and everybody else has been looking at North Texas probably for a while, like, hey, we're going to prepare for this game week, but, you know, take a look at North Texas. They might be our likely opponent, that kind of thing. You know, and they pull out their notes from last year. I feel good about North Texas' ability to move the ball against Tulane. The question is going to be, can you protect Drew Mastermaker? I think the answer is mostly yes. And then can you not fumble the ball, not turn it over, not get too hyped, right? Not have drops, Terrence Lewis, not have drops, you know, like he said, those mistakes, Miles Coleman, all those other things that hurt yourself, right? Don't overthrow, don't get too hyped, Drew Mastermaker.
Yeah, those unforced errors, right, where you can't. There's one type of turnover where it's like Caleb Hawkins or Mackenzie McGill, right, fighting for an extra yard, and he gets stripped, right. That's one type of fumble, but then you've got Miles Coleman just completely muffing a punt return, right, and turning that over on their or on our own 10-yard line, right. The difference between turnovers.
Yes, I think so. We're on the same page here. I feel good about the offense's ability to move that. Okay, so the game plan all season has been, hey, let's score, and then against the worst teams, we're going to score a lot and see if you just catch up, you know? Like, yeah, okay, you scored, you know, we spotted 14 points to Rice, basically, and said, okay, turn the machine on, and now we're up, you know, 28-14. Can you still score at that pace? Turns out you can't. And now you start getting, you know, frantic and whatever. Defensively, however you want to pronounce it, I think that's the flip, right? North Texas is actually quietly a pretty solid yards per play defense in this league. I think just a couple, you know, fractions of a yard better than Tulane, but we're just better at getting turnovers, right? And so that I'm like, okay, well, does this team turn the ball over, right? North Texas has been able to get the ball from teams that don't turn the ball over, including Temple, right? Evan Simon, we said last week, he only threw one interception up to this point.
I throwed up.
Yeah, and then he throwed it against, you know, North Texas also. He throwed one there too. So he threw an interception against us, and then we've picked off also Army and picked off also Navy, right? Almost got the whole armed forces throwing interceptions to us. So, you know, what does that mean? Does that mean we can? What about this guy? You know, Retzlaff. Is he an interception kind of guy? Is he's going to throw some picks? Yeah, he's a pick thrower. You know, he's
well, he's a gunslinger, right?
Yes.
And I talk about loving gunslingers, and he's that kind of mentality that like, I have the ability, and I'm going to put it right there. And he puts it right there, but there also happens to be another guy there.
Yeah. Oh, well. He put it right here. I got it. I'm going the other way. What is that?
Yeah, and he's a guy that can pick you apart. He's got the talent to be able to do that, and he can run on you as well. Tulane likes to run the ball. And so that's something defensively we have to watch out for, right? And something that we saw right at the gate from Rice and Charlotte, that's their bread and butter. And you go back to Western Michigan, you go back to Army, you go back to Navy. We have faced that type of team before where they like to, I mean, not to that extent of Army, but they like to run the ball with the quarterback. And we have to be prepared for that, right? And I know there's worry because of how hot Rice started right out of the gate. Like, what are we doing here? But as you've mentioned before, there's been injuries. The team adjusted and then just boat raced the rest of the game. Now, it's not going to be a boat race after that. I mean, Tulane's got much better defense than any of those teams we've faced before, but we've also got a better offense than any of the teams Tulane has recently faced. And Memphis is probably, I'm trying to rack my memory here, Memphis is probably the best offense they've faced lately.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's like I looked at their top offenses per yards per play, and I have it's literally on a notepad downstairs. But like North Texas number 1. I guess I could just pull it up. I'll pull it up right here while I'm talking. But that's the thing is like they very well might be a good defense, right? But it's North Texas, USF, Navy, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, East Carolina. So I was a little wrong there in that they played the 5 through 7, right? Of the top 7 teams, I'm eliminating UAB, FAU, Temple, Tulsa, Army, Rice, Charlotte. They played Memphis, which is 6.2 yards per play, UTSA 6.05, East Carolina 5.93. Now, there is a little, for you statisticians, whatever, I'm confounding some variables because, I'm looking at this. They played them, but they also had a part in making their yards per play look at this. But like I said, I'm just looking at these teams. They didn't play North Texas, USF, Navy, or Tulane. They can't play yourself. I guess they played themselves in practice. But North Texas against good defenses, have been done pretty well, right? Again, we did worse against USF, right? And then we did okay against Navy, which is a pretty solid defense here. My point is that Tulane ain't played nobody. Their numbers look good, pretty good, but when they played very good offenses, you can throw Ole Miss in there, not so great, not amazing. And I wonder, it's in the same way like North Texas hasn't really played very good pass offenses. They played a lot of good run defenses, rush offense, I'm sorry. And so then you look at the numbers like, oh, North Texas is pretty bad stopping the run. I don't know, man. You played Army, you played Navy, you played USF. Your rush numbers against it's gonna suffer a little bit. Now, again, all that to the side. Your point about Retzlaff being a runner is a good one, and I'm concerned about that. Right, like Rice does that. They had success. They're getting some yards, and again, if you look at the advanced numbers, North Texas's yards before contact is not so great, meaning that we allow a lot of yards before we get a guy on them, but we're a very good tackling team, right? So that's good. We're not good against running quarterbacks, and we played a lot of them, right? Western Michigan's Byron Brown, he killed us. The Army and Navy, they had some things, but we got stops in crucial moments, which is what I like. Retzlaff, 103 carries, which is second on the team to Javen Gordon, the freshman, 111. He has 561 yards rushing, which is the leader in the locker room, right? Javen Gordon's the second leading rusher. And Retzlaff has 14 scores. They run a lot of, RPO stuff, and he's throwing it quick, and then he scoots. They all have a design run, looks the same, and then suddenly they're set up a zone read, they're pulling, he's off to the races.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they've only lost 2 games, right? Because they're good at that part of their scheme. And Retzlaff is fast. He's hard to tackle. He's a big dude. So that is what I'm concerned about, right? Having that discipline, making sure that you identify the guy who is going to get the ball, right? Because and then covering that guy and then covering Retzlaff to make sure he doesn't scoot and get 5-6 yards, right? When it's third and 3, we want to make sure that they don't get 4 yards, which I don't want to speak without looking at the numbers, but I feel like this year it's been great, and in terms of defensively comparatively. So I feel bullish in this game. I don't think we're going to blow them out, but I feel bullish 80% because I am a fan of North Texas. If for any Tulane listeners, this is bullcrap. That's mainly where my opinion comes from, and then the other 20% is looking at the numbers, looking at how Tulane has played other teams compared to how North Texas has, and Tulane's got some impressive wins on the season against Duke and against Memphis, and so they're no slouch, right? We're not just going to come in and own the place, but we both teams, I think, match up well in terms of strength versus weakness, right? So they've got a good running quarterback. We've got, on paper, a weak run defense. They've got a weak passing defense. We've got an amazing passing offense. They're poor at tackling. We've got great tackle breakers. And even I'm remembering back to Washington State game, right? I think one of the stats was Mackenzie McGill leading the nation in broken tackles or something like that, or yards after contact. Can't remember. Anyway, just demonstrating the type of running backs we've got that can break bad tackles, just strong, like they say in the game, like corn-fed.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, like, North Texas defense has never been about just, 3 and outs the whole time. We want to get enough stops. Like, teams have been getting first downs. I mentioned this. Like, we held UTSA to 14 first downs, and Charlotte to 13. We're like, oh, defense is killing it. And then Navy had 22, UAB had 26, Rice had 24, Temple had 18. Now, some of that is skewed, right, because they had some first downs late when the game's already over. Like, North Texas up 35-10, and they got 3 first downs. You're like, okay, well, it doesn't matter so much. The main thing, I mean, and again, like some of those games, North Texas scored 50, 50, 52, right? 53, 56, 52. Just killing teams, right? Navy game was the last close game against a good team, right? Their one-loss team. That was to North Texas. 31-17. I'm thinking sort of along the lines that you're saying here is that this has a feeling like it's going to be like a Navy game, where I feel like, hey, North Texas is a better team in a lot of areas, right? Like, again, I said before the Navy game, Navy came in like 5-0, 6-0, something like that. And I said, they haven't really played anybody, right? They had a lot of good stats, a lot of good this, that, and the other. They haven't played anybody. So don't get, like, overwhelmed by their stats. Let's see what they do, right? They haven't played North Texas. And, by the same token, they could say, well, yeah, North Texas is doing good, but we're Navy. And even if we hadn't played anybody, you're going to have to, see what's up. What we saw is that Navy played well against other teams, right? They got beat by Notre Dame, right? But other than that, they beat USF. And I think they're a tough team. They beat Memphis, did Navy, right? So, and a lot of the same kind of way that they played North Texas, and I think they were sort of licking the chops. They really wanted another shot at North Texas. They thought they had a chance. They're a tough defense, and they can do those things. My point in saying all that is that just because you haven't played anybody, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad team. Maybe you played to your opponents, that kind of deal. Maybe it's game state, that thing. But I think North Texas' offense has been good against almost everybody, right? And then the best team, the team that held North Texas the best, USF. Just vicious defensive line, getting to Drew Mestermaker, made him make mistakes. It was just a one time. He threw 3 interceptions that game. He's thrown 1 interception outside of that all season. And that was to the Charlottes, who apparently, intercept people. Man, the Charlottes, they're out here. It's
I forgot.
Because the cone doesn't move, and you're just like, you just feel like you got to throw it, and you end up throwing it to the Charlotte. That's how it happens.
Tulane did not play South Florida.
Nope. They didn't play South Florida. Yeah. So that's the thing is that, like, their numbers look good, but then you're like, okay, who have they played? That you're like, okay, this is a good team. Look at them do their deal here. And as the other thing is, like, I think looking at their team last year, right, when they played North Texas, I felt like, and some of it they could just been playing within themselves. They were not very explosive. They averaged 35 points a game last year, right, which is pretty good. And this year, they averaged 28. So that passes the eye test there, right? I'm looking at the way that they move the ball and whatever, and the games and their scores. I'm not seeing them just like blow teams away. I don't see them really just dominating anything. Like, oh, look at the way they move the ball. Look out for Tulane. Like, again, their numbers 25. They get about 20 first downs a game. You watch them move the ball, and you're like, oh, I can see how they would be pretty good. and then they have like 3 terrible plays, right? Some of that has to do, getting back to the rest left discussion, the guy he makes mistakes because he's a gunslinger. You can see him throwing off his back foot, just like flinging it out there. They had 7 yards per play or something like that versus UTSA, but like 4 turnovers, right? And 3 of them were Retzlaff. Some of them were just, guys being silly there. But there's nobody on their receiving core that's like, look out for this guy. He's just big, strong, fast, can run past you. Got good, solid receivers. Nobody, full respect to him, but nobody I'm like, that's a danger.
Sure. I think they're overall a very balanced team in terms of their offense versus their defense. They've got that grit. There's a reason they're going to the conference championship, right? And the gap may not be huge, but to your point about offense and potency, right? They haven't scored more than 38 points in a single game. That was their max. While North Texas has scored below 40 points in 4 games. And so we're used to watching North Texas put up a lot of numbers, pick apart teams, and beat guys deep. And I think a lot of that comes from Wyatt Young. Wyatt Young will try to get behind the defense as much as possible, and that's where we'll win, either because he scores a 75-yard touchdown, right, or that they move so much attention toward that side of the field that it opens up Dorner down below, or Miles Coleman, or Trey Williams, or even Caleb Hawkins, right? You're removing the number of people in the box. If you're trying to get safeties away from the line of scrimmage, then that benefits Caleb Hawkins and to be able to do his thing. And so they're, I keep going back, right? I keep saying that they're no slouch. You see it on film. As you're watching the game, they look like a good team. There's a reason they were.
To you, that's what I want to know.
They were ranked before us in the conference football playoffs for a reason, and part of that is name brand, and also part of that is results on the field. So respect to them, but I think I feel bullish on North Texas being able to get away with the win.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm looking for something that I wanted to find some numbers that back it up, because I don't remember them off the top of my head when I was doing this analysis. But last year, and I looked at the stats here, their top receivers were Mario Williams, Dante Fleming, Keith Brown, and Mario Williams had 60 receptions for 1,000 yards. He's a 1,000-yard receiver, and that's what I mean by guys that kind of scare you. You're like, that's a clear dude. This year they got Preston, Shaz Preston, Anthony Brown Stevens, Amari Hayes. And again, I watched a lot of them. They all have about 400 yards. They're a balanced attack, like you said. But, again, there's no pop there, right? Like, it's good but not great, right? It's 28 points a game and not 35, right? We said this before. Last year we averaged 33, not 40, 45. What's been the difference? We know it. Hey, our red zone red zone attack is amazing. A lot of that's, Caleb Hawkins. He makes it super easy when you can hand it off to him. He's going to score from 12 yards out in one or two plays. So you're like, okay, well, we can't let them in the red zone. Now your defense is changed. Now you're playing differently. Like you said, Wyatt Young's taken to the house more often. He scored more touchdowns. We saw him be able to do that against Texas Tech, but he's able to do that more often against more other teams. I texted a friend of the show, Mean Green Gridiron podcast co-host, Billy Sierra, and I was like, hey, do you want to join the show? And he was like, no, I would never join your show. And I'm kidding. He said he had to do stuff. And then I was like, well, give me a hot take then. What is it? I hadn't listened to your show yet, so I want to know what you think of the thing. What is your thing? He says, Mestamaker has a 208 pass yard rating with 16 touchdowns and 1 pick since the South Florida game. He's not the same QB when the lights are a little too bright. He's going to be the deciding factor and have in the good guys' favor. Now, I like that take. I would say that my criticism of it is that he's included in a lot of terrible teams, right? It's a very great offensive rating against Charlotte, mighty Charlottes. UAB, out there stabbing themselves, and Rice.
Too soon.
Maybe for that guy, but for us, it was a little funny. Again, the receiving grade for last year for Mario Williams is 82, right? 82.7. This year, Amari Hayes is a pretty good. It's 89. I'm just my take Preston has the most targets. He's at a 71 receiving grade. I'm just looking at a lot of their dudes, and there's not a whole lot of dudes. They had 2 guys in the 80s, and then 3 guys with a 77 plus last year receiving grade. This year, 1 guy above 77. They got 3-4 guys in the 70, and that is my eye test. Also, I'm just watching them. I see, hey, that was a good move. This is a solid receiver. I like what Anthony Brown-Stevens does. A lot of 5'8", 5'9" guys that are just quick in space, and they do a lot. Like I said, a lot of RPO stuff where he's reading, throws a little hitch, and then, hey, we're gonna play action and try to throw it over the top of you. It's a solid thing there, but nobody. You're like, man, if we give that guy a little space, he's gonna break it, and I think that tells you something.
Yes, and I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing, right? I agree with you. I've got nothing to add there, but to the previous point about Drew Messermaker making a break, and I don't necessarily think that is exactly what will make or break North Texas. I think it's going to be Caleb Hawkins' performance and ability to take pressure off of Drew Messermaker, because Charlotte. I'm looking at Charlotte and after, where Caleb Hawkins had 13 carries, and Drew Messermaker had 49 pass attempts. After that, Messermaker's pass attempts, starting with Navy, is 24, 25, 23, 24. That's pretty low when it comes to a pass-heavy attack, right? Albeit with a whole bunch of yards involved with that. With regards to Caleb Hawkins, right, those 13 attempts against Charlotte, and then against Navy, 33, 27, and then down to 20, and then 25. So they were leaning on the run game, partly because game script, right? You want to run when you're ahead, but they were leaning on him to drive the offensive script, in my opinion. So Caleb is able to relieve some of that pressure for Wyatt Young to have a day, for Dorner to break for a long touchdown, for Drew Messermaker to have a little bit more comfort in dropping back, feeling the pressure, and then making the right decision.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, because I think that's how I saw it also, right? Like, Messermaker was not asked to do a whole lot against those other teams because he didn't need to, right? It's his completion percentage, like you said, it was in the 60s. It was like 53 against South Alabama. That was his worst game, like completion percentage-wise. Before that, it was the Western Michigan game, and I think we attribute that to a couple other things there, that some drops and whatever. But, like, it's in the 70s, starting with Charlotte, right? 75, 79, 72, 82, 83 percentage I'm talking about. And, like, there's a little bit where, like, yeah, I didn't throw a lot of passes against Rice. I only threw 23 because I threw for 469 yards, right? You throw one pass, 74 yards. One pass, 84 yards. I mean, how many? That's it. That's all it is touchdowns, man.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, in that it was just hand the ball off. Caleb Hawkins, 33 carries or whatever it is. Like, you could just let him dominate. Just let him go. Why would you not? Why would you do anything else if he's killing it? And yeah, we asked. Like, you look at the attempts here. 34, 33, like you were saying, 34 against Washington State, and that was a blowout also. Washington State was 29-34. He's killing in that game with 247 yards. I think there's a couple things happening because there's a lot of 200-yard games in there, is that guys are taking it to the next level, right? He's hitting on longer passes now. I think that's something that we saw. They said in the advanced stats. He's hitting Wyatt Young over the top. Wyatt Young is making plays, right? We saw that. Landon Sides is catching passes, turning them up. He did that against Charlotte. That was a little hidden one. Cam Dorner is stretching the defense vertically out wide. Things are happening. The offense is opening up. And I think in this game, that's what I was excited about, is that there are a lot of options. It's not like, okay, well, they shut down Wyatt Young. I think the national media and other people are like, Wyatt Young, that's their one receiver, right? Up to a certain point in the season, Cam Dorner was neck and neck with Wyatt Young in terms of being a leading receiver. Now, Wyatt Young went out and said, okay, well, let me burn past you and get 295 yards in this game. Now what? Okay. But Cam Dorner has been very good. And then, Simeon Evans has been spelling him. Like, Cam Dorner won that spot, and he's like the main dude on the other spot there. And Miles Coleman can do those things too. You could throw it to him a little screen, and he can go. I totally agree that he hasn't been amazing doing the next level type things. which is why White Young's been a little bit better. But I mean, he has that ability, right? He scored a 75-yarder against USF. Miles Coleman did, right? There's a lot of dudes that can score on this squad. You're like, hey, who can take it to the house on this squad? Almost every receiver, pretty much every receiver, right? Cam Dorner had a 77-yarder, right, against the Temple Owls. White Young had a 74-yarder, 84-yarder. Miles Coleman had a 70-something yarder against USF. Landon Sides is taking long ones. Caleb Hawkins has a 68-yard touchdown reception. Trey Williams called it. You're like, hey, any one of these dudes could take it to the house. And then going back to last year, I think Dalton Carnes' longest was like 60 or 70 yards last year. He hasn't caught a lot, but he can take it. Then you go the rest of the way. Bex is taken to the house. Ashton Gray's taken to the house. I'm talking about in the run game. These are dudes that can score from lots of different places. I love that. I don't just like it. That's what Tulane's like trying to figure out. Like, all right, who do we? Yeah, you can circle Caleb Hawkins and say, all right, we need to focus on him. All right, so what you're gonna do? Just cover one the whole time, and just have guys. Okay, well then now guys are just gonna go over the top. We're gonna beat you. We're gonna have a little whip route, right? Do that, like I said, 618 post wheel, throw a little slant route to Dorner. He's gonna take it to the house. Or if that's not open, little whip route this way. Wyatt Young's gonna take it to the house. Miles Coleman's gonna take it to the house. We'll throw it over the top of you. That's how North Texas has been operating. When it's been bad for North Texas, it's that, hey, you get to Drew Messamaker's face. Tulane is like the leading tackle for loss team in the league, I believe, against conference play. But, I mean, I think, like I said, you got North Texas also the fourth best at preventing sacks. Like, there are options, there are solutions for those things.
Yeah, and part of it is the offensive line has been doing great this year, and the other part of it is Drew Messamaker senses pressure, avoids pressure, or runs out of pressure, and smartly either throws away the ball, runs out of bounds, or awkwardly falls down.
So, yeah, the thing is, like, I think what somebody said, he's more of a runner, right? Drew Messamaker, I think it was Lamar's coach. Drew Messamaker, they were like, hey, you can run the ball. We forget about that. He's another guy. He ran for 77 yards against Texas State or whatever it was, right? In the bowl game. It was earlier this year. That was in January. That's crazy. That I think if you put him in, can he play Retzlaff's position? Can he do Retzlaff's and work the offense that way? I think so. Messamaker has a strong arm. He could do that. He could run around like that. Do I want him to? No, don't do that. But
he's not built like that, though.
Well, I mean, he's not as big, all that. But what I'm saying is,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, could you run something like that and say, all right, you can, you do a little QB, inverted veer stuff, and you just take what they give you, run 5-10 yards, and fall down? Yeah, you can do that with them. I wouldn't, but you could. Retzlaff, I think he has a little bit. He's too much of a gunslinger, and he's just flinging that thing in there. I don't know that he could do what Drew Messamaker is doing right now. At least not right away. This is what I'm talking about, like right away. Yes, after a year coaching, whatever, you can do all that. They're good players. But I see Retzlaff play, and he's not taking what's getting to him. You look at, the Pro Football grades, and I think there's a Pro Football Focus podcast, whatever they had. They were talking about this too. Messamaker, when blitz, his grade is like 81. Everybody's better when they're not being pressured. But Retzlaff is like, his best is like when pressured is like grade is like 60 or 70. Messamaker's is like 81, right? And like Messamaker is better when the pocket's clean and when you're blitzing him, and Retzlaff is not as good. Like just the pure 1-on-1 grades in all the categories. Hey, when your pocket's clean or you're being blitzed, he just doesn't make as good of a decision. That's my determination there. Can he throw it far? Yes. Can he run? Yes. But sometimes he's like, oh, let me get a little run, and I'm going to fling it. Oh, I threw an interception. And that's the difference. But a couple of
times a game, it's going to be 3rd and 14, and he's going to convert it. And you're like, how did he make that throw? How did he see that? And it's going to frustrate you and me and the defense. And we just got to be ready for that, right? It has less to do with the defense and Retzlaff's ability. But I want to give him credit where credit's due. But I think.
Could you stand up and show us your Retzlaff tattoo, please?
The color of my sweater, it's teal. I just got
it is.
And anyway, I believe that the defense will, Skylar Cassidy and company will develop a game plan against that. That is the biggest threat that Retzlaff poses, right? That run pass game. and it was killer against Memphis, and we got to watch out for that. It's not like we're gonna go in there blind, right? It'll hit us. It'll hurt us in spots, but I think overall, end to end, we'll be able to contain it. That bend don't break mentality, and because he is a gunslinger, we will take advantage of that, and it will give us more opportunities, right, through turnovers to score more.
Yeah, I mean, and like, here's the thing about Tulane is that they're pretty good at mixing it up. We're almost near the end of the show here. They're pretty good at mixing things up, like as far as who's doing what, right? Like, are we getting the like just the same old? They run the same offense every time. No, we're not. It's going to be. They run a little pistol. They get low under center. They got a lot of tight end heavy stuff. I think they're going to look at North Texas defense and say, okay, you're down 3 or 4 defensive linemen, a linebacker, probably your best linebacker, Witter. And we're going to run at you. We're going to do a lot of this power run, and then we're going to do a little RPO at you, just when you start cheating up. And then we're going to do some play action, right? See if you can defend that. We saw that you were not able to guard some deep balls, some contested balls, some like balls super high against Army. We saw Navy slice you up a little bit and this and that. Can you defend those things? We saw what Rice did. We're going to find those concepts that are in our offense already and that we feel good about, and we're going to attack you. And so, Skylar Cassidy's going to have to find answers there. I think Tulane has better players and a better team than Rice, Charlotte, UAB, and those teams, and in Temple. And what we'll see is team go down and score a little bit more, and it might be a little bit more back and forth than we'd like. Again, that's why I bring up that Navy game where North Texas was up by a touchdown, right? There was that moment there. And they go down, they move the ball, they score, touchdown, North Texas, and we're up 14. And then they had to get a 4th down stop to really kill the drive. And then another interception in the red zone to end the game. It might come down to that, and I think that's fine. That's winning football. I don't care how you win. But yes, to your point, like, it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be, I hope it is, but I don't think it's going to be blowout city. It's not going to be, 50 points up, 35 nothing at halftime. Look, no, 100% hope it is that. It'll be so great. I'm going to be sitting in the press box nice and warm and toasty. And I hope it's 35 nothing North Texas at halftime. I'm like, well, folks, I'm just going to go down the sideline and just take it in, so I get it better.
Get a hot chocolate.
Yeah. That would be amazing. I don't need it to be, all right, 4th down and 2. Can North Texas convert? Drew Mastermaker, his knees giving him trouble after they've been hitting him all day. I don't need that in my life. Don't want it. I want it to be nice and comfortable, easy win, right? And that's what I'm hoping for. It'll be a lot of fun that way.
Yes, completely agree with you.
Yes.
Nothing to add there.
No, man.
As a fan, I want to see 75-0, right? Because I'm a North Texas fan.
Yes.
I know that Tulane will not allow that, obviously, and it's going to be a back and forth game. But I want a multi-touchdown dominating win that asserts our place in the American Conference, and then off to the playoffs.
Yeah, Wyatt Young's averaging 100 yards a game. Cam Dorner's averaging 60 yards, 64 yards a game. Miles Coleman's doing well, landing sides, all that stuff. I think this game's going to be I'm not concerned about the offense, meaning, like, I think that everybody's mostly healthy. I don't think the rain's going to be that big of a deal. I think everybody's going to be locked in. Our head coach is an offensive play caller. He's also going to be on national TV. There's a chance to show up for his new boss. I think there's going to be a lot there that is going to be what we've seen before, right? Good execution. I don't think it's going to be as explosive. It's not going to be 74 yarders, but maybe a 30-yarder, right? They're going to have to drive. They can do that. Defensively is where I'm like, okay, I expect Tulane to move down the field a couple drives, and then we'll see what Skylar Cassidy has in his defensive tool bag. That's going to be a real question. That's going to be the game, really. I think you can intercept. You can force Retzlaff to throw some fumbles. There's a lot against a lot of teams, not even good teams. He threw 2 against Charlotte. He's throwing a lot of interceptions because they ask him to do a lot. And then he said, make reads, do this, run the ball. I think it takes a toll. I think we're going to try to Cassidy's going to try to make him play left-handed and say, all right, you're going to run this RPO stuff. We're going to make you give the ball to the least dangerous option. Well, stack the box. You can throw these little arc things, and say, you know what, we're going to ask David Fisher to come up, make a tackle, and he's going to do it. We believe in that. North Texas is very good at making tackles in space. So, I think they're happy with that. Well, they'll say, hey, 3rd and 14, and if on 2 of them, you throw an interception, one you misfire, and one you just make a great play, we force you into 3 3rd and 14s. So I think that's the idea. But, you said that they're a good team. They've won a lot of games, 7-1 in conference, just like North Texas. I'm excited about it. It's going to be good. There's an opportunity to knock off the number 20 team in the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. It's a chance to, secure your place in the college football playoff there against, I've seen people like, maybe it's going to be Oregon. Maybe it's going to be, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's old team. Maybe it's a Texas team. Maybe it's Texas A&M, Texas Tech, something like that. I don't know.
I think going up against Ole Miss would be the most favorable situation, just because of their situation.
I said this before. I'm just call back. I don't have the clip or anything like that, but just a callback. I said, I think in some ways going to college football playoff would be a bad thing because I don't know that North Texas' roster is ready for the college football playoff at this moment in time. It's not as deep. It's just not. There's not a lot of talent. Like our best players are like freshmen. They're really underclassmen. I think you just want to be bigger, stronger, ready for college football playoffs. Where teams are deep. These are good players, lots of 4 or 5 star guys. Not that you can't compete, but I just don't know that the program is ready to put its best foot forward. Now, all that said, you take what it's there. There's no guarantee that it's ever going to happen again. So you do it. They'll probably change the rules. They're like, Texas didn't make the playoffs. All right, now college football playoff is whoever Texas wants to play. Yeah, it's going to be that.
North Texas is not going to decline the invitation either.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm just talking about like in the old college football model, you could end the season on a high, right? You go to a bowl game, you win. This is great. So much fun. Huh? You put a playoff in, the nature of a playoff. And this is a playoff game, right? You win, you're in. You lose, you're out. It's the whole way. There's going to be a bowl game. Who knows what that looks like? But it's that still thing, right? You win, it's more and higher stakes and then a higher fall a little bit, right? Like TCU, they won, they got to the final, and then they lose, and it's like, oh, it was the national championship game is. Yeah, and so I'm so part of me is just saying like every step higher we go is just a longer fall if you lose, right? And higher likelihood that you lose because it's only good teams after this, right? Tulane's not a bad team. There's no more Rices or Charlottes or Temples or any of those guys anymore. It's not the Swamp Things anymore. It's gonna be good teams, like you said. 100%. Tulane's a good team. They play. That's what I'm scared of. I'm selfishly hoping that everything goes well. Blow out Tulane's. Right, 75-0 in each quarter, right? And then, they're like, well, put North Texas out there, and then they send him to Eugene so we can send Aldo out there, right? He can drive down.
Go down to Eugene.
Yeah, and, if it's like in Oxford, that'd be good because that's only 6 hours away from me. I do that one. And if it's like the other ones, I don't know. We'll send somebody else. I'm allowing myself to think those thoughts because I feel confident. North Texas is a 3-point favorite on the road. I like it. I feel good about it. And that makes me scared because I'm a North Texas fan and I know it.
We've been there.
But I'm choosing to believe.
But
yes.
In terms of losing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. 100%. But, I mean, this year's different. Up to this point, you can never say, hey, yeah, North Texas, the ranked North Texas, never could say that before. Yeah. Now you can. In the college football playoff, number 24. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you there. If you're going to New Orleans, where am I staying? At the Marriott? I can't even remember where I'm staying. I'm staying in New Orleans. I'll be there. I'll tell you that much. I'm going to be at the game. And I'm flying out pretty early in the morning because I got to get back for my daughter's basketball game. But, it's just because I'm a great dad. That's all that is. Where are you going to enjoy this game? Is there a North Texas venue you're going to go watch it?
No, locked away in my house because I'm going to be screaming, filled with anxiety. Nobody's going to stand me.
Yeah. What's going to be your drink of choice there?
That's a good question. What do I have in the fridge? People bring beer all the time, and there's probably a lot of IPAs because people up here like that.
That's good.
If there's nothing I want to drink in there, I'll probably do just whiskey.
I like it. A little sipping whiskey. Watching North Texas play. I like it. This is huge. I know you guys know Aldo. Aldo doesn't like championship games. He thinks they're not as important as the bowl games, but I mean, you said it. You're the one. Yeah, I don't care about
losing.
that. This is the chance you get hardware. You get it. You put it in the trophy case,
This
right
is
next to the
most prepared
Sunbelt
I've ever
trophies.
felt. Against FAU, I thought before the game, I thought, what are we doing here? And lo and behold, against UTSA, I felt a little bit better. I thought, okay, it's kind of evenly matched, and I hate UTSA, so I want to beat them, and so that really hurt. But now I feel the most confident I've ever felt, and I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. I don't like it up here. I don't like it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you got to roll with it, right? It's like, we have a good team. North Texas is a good team. Quarterback's a good quarterback. Coach is a good offensive coach. Defensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator. A lot of talent on the team. I think right now injuries are catching up to North Texas defensively. That's still what you got to do. But everybody has a something at this point in time of the season, so it's not an excuse. You take it and you try to see what you got, and that makes the drama more dramatic. Get your heart pounding. That's what you're in this stuff for, so you can feel feelings. Otherwise,
it's great storylines, and I'm enjoying the ride.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Mean Green Nation podcast. Thank you for listening. Go to the site, subscribe. As a subscriber, you get to be on the forum. You guys are not really active forum type people. I see everybody in there. They're like, "Yeah."
Really bad.
They just look around. They're like, "Okay." And they go sit down. No, I just want to look. I don't want to dance. I just want to look. I mean, that's fine. That's what it's there for. So, anyway, you guys can go join
Just go
that.
in there and say, Adam is dumb. Why is he saying these things?
And then I'll give you a 8-point breakdown why you're wrong.
I gotta make a burner.
Oh, how do you say your name back? I can't even say it. Odla? Odla?
Faldo. I'll do Faldo.
Who's this Faldo guy from? Not Seattle, it says? Is it location? That's weird. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're the opposite of Aldo, you might be a cooler guy because you would like cool things.
Like championship games.
Yeah, it would be like, I like this guy. I'm going to get this guy on the podcast. This dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. Yeah, a lot of fake endings. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.